Hello everyone, before this video begins, just to give a couple disclaimers, or one disclaimer. Grounded is in this video, but it does not feature any spiders. It's just a boss fight, not the Broodmother boss fight. The audio levels of my mic may vary throughout. I'll explain it more at the end of the video if you care enough. But also the first segment, the DRG segment, I made it on about when I was extremely tired. I made it on about 4 hours of sleep, and I shouldn't have, and the quality of it suffered for it a little bit. But every segment after that, I did make on a good night's rest. So enjoy. We all have friends, not me though, and we all enjoy playing video games. So, what if we make a game where you and your friends work together to survive or accomplish something? That's the idea behind cooperative games. Have fun with teamwork against a non-human threat. So, what happens when you remove the friends part of the equation? It was never any equation in the first place for me, but whatever! What if we don't even have any other players at all? What happens when you are by yourself in a game designed around having multiple people in it? Minigames help out their solo players in various ways, and I have combed through my Steam library and picked out a couple to get a decent answer to how developers support their solo player base. Let's get into it. Developers typically compensate their solo players by modifying stats of enemies in games. The enemies are typically dumber or less tanky, and the player has a much easier time dealing with the threat. A good game that shows this off very well is Deep Rock Galactic. In DRG, you are a dwarf that works for Deep Rock Galactic. You are sent down into an alien planet called Hoxes and have to complete your objective and then extract. There's a wide variety of enemies on Hoxes, and most of them are looking to eat you. The exception to the most are the ones who want to blow you up instead. You can play with up to 3 other people, maximum player count seen in most co-op games, and the stats of enemies changes drastically based on how many people you play with. This chart is how DRG tweaks the stats of enemies and is an excellent way to show how most developers modify enemies based on how many people are in a team. Aside from weaker enemies, in solo you are given Bosco. He's a robot that will shoot, mine, and blow up anything you tell him to, and is a great way to help out dwarves who aren't prepared for high-up minerals or don't have the ammo count to take on a swarm alone. Bosco does good damage, but any tanky enemies will take him forever to kill, and he's slow, so a cave leech will kill you if Bosco's close by, and he can't shoot a cloaked stalker. Thankfully, he has unlimited ammo, and his bullets are electric, which slows enemies. You can get the same experience of DRG as you can with multiplayer, though, much like Helldivers 2, you lose that sense of camaraderie and roleplay. Leave no dwarf behind. Gameplay can become much slower, as Bosco can't attach mini-wheel parts or plant hacking nodes. This is most obvious in oil extraction, where the time it takes from building pipes to activating the oil rig is about 20 minutes, but a cool little thing is that point extraction takes less time to do with Bosco, because you can grab the quartz on the ground while he grabs the ones in the high walls for a speedy mission. Probably the biggest change is that Bosco can only revive you 2 times, 3 times with an upgrade, which is a major change from the unlimited lives you were given in multiplayer, as long as one dwarf stays alive. Overall, the devs do a good job with compensating solo players and giving them tools that make their jobs as dwarves bearable. Oh, and they also gave Bosco cosmetics, and I love it. It really shows that developers think about their solo players alongside their intended 4 dwarf teams. Payday 2 is the next example of how developers give their solo players a leg up. In Payday 2, you are a bank heister. Naturally, you are robbing various places while swarms of police and specialized units try to stop you. The harder the difficulty, the bigger the reward, so most players typically play on Death Wish for a big reward without the game being overwhelmingly unfair. Whenever you have an unfilled slot on your team, that teammate is replaced by a bot. These bots have so much health that they are nearly invincible, and they have unlimited ammo. These are mainly here because the bots are slow and is about as smart as the police. Bots can also traverse terrain like the police, whether this is to compensate more for their stupidity or just a perk from reusing cup AI, it is up to you. The bots can carry bags, but you have to throw it on their back and they still incur the movement penalty from whatever you're carrying, so gold will slow them down as much as you are slowed down. Bots also come with configurable mask and character, but most importantly, you can change what weapon they use and what perks they give you. With weapons, it's generally advised that you give them weapons that consume a lot of ammo, because most of the time, those weapons are very good, but are limited by their ammo capacity. With perks, you have a lot to choose from. For crew abilities, it's pretty limited, but regardless, they're very good. Faster interaction speed is basically a must. Armor piercing is very good for higher difficulties, and if your AI is using lower caliber guns. Inspiring is very nice, because since the AI is stupid and slow, they have trouble getting you up on certain maps or geometry. But Inspire takes that frustration away, and comboed with Messiah, Swan Song, and Feigned Death, it makes you someone who goes down and gets back up immediately. My least favorite of this bunch is Sharp-Eyed, which increases how much ammo you get from one box. This is virtually useless on higher difficulties, as you typically kill enough cops to get most of your ammo back, and if you're like me and use a Sociopath build, this perk is useless. On to Crew Boost. This is where you can tailor your boost you get from your AI to how you're playing. Going for a stealth mission, boost concealment. Using a dodge build, boost dodge. Stamina, health, armor, all of it can be boosted if it's what you're hurting in. The most unique booster here is Stockpiler. For every 35 kills you gain back one throwable. Throwables are already not very good on higher difficulties, which probably makes this the worst boost. I've basically only played Payday 2 solo, and with enough experience and knowledge of the game itself, you can manage with bots. As stupid and as slow as they are, you will grow to hate and despise them on any mission that requires long distance traveling. Looking at you, Biker Heist! Left 4 Dead 2 has bots similar to Payday 2. They do the basics of shooting stuff and reviving you when you get down. As you make your way through the levels of shooting zombies and special infected that stun lock you. By the way, why are 4 out of the 7 special infected ones that can stun lock you? Like, I get the game's emphasis on teamwork, but Jesus. Back to it. As you make your way through levels of shooting zombies, you pick up various weapons and throwables ranging from auto shotguns to assault rifles and boomer bile to molotovs. But the main thing you'll usually be itching for are heals. Pills temporarily heal, while medkits are not temporary. Adrenaline shots are here too, but I never use them, so I don't care about them. Bots will pick up medkits and pills and weapons, but never throwables. The cool thing about the bots is that they have game sense. If you're getting ridden by a jockey, they will shove it off of you instead of shooting it if shoving is faster. Same goes for all the others stun-oriented infected. If you're low on health, the bots will either give you their pills, or if you don't have any, or heal you with their medkit. The bots do use medkits and pills on themselves, so they won't always have them to heal you. One other detail is that the bots don't deal friendly fire damage. Your screen still jitters around, but you don't take any damage, which is very necessary, as the bot's much like a Helldivers 2 Gatling sentry. It does not care what is between or beyond its target. Left 4 Dead 2 is very playable with bots. I've beaten all the campaigns on advanced difficulty with them, and say that they do their job of supporting you well. It's evident that the developers wanted to make sure that the bots filling unplayed player slots didn't inconvenience you by hoarding the medkits or stealing throwables that they never use. Overall, the bots are good for the game. I'm also thoroughly convinced XQC was a test for bots using throwables, and he ended up killing his teammates with them, so they dumped the idea.
Okay, I'm blind. They just fucking threw a fucking perfect flash at me.
To round out the mostly well-developed bots section of this video, we have Ready or Not. Ready or Not is a game that aims to have a realistic simulation of SWAT scenarios. The game has intelligent enemies, dumb civilians, and thankfully very thorough and helpful AI companions. The game breaks from the standard 4-person team and adds one more person, meaning the firepower and control just got better, and the bots do not waste that extra potential. Ready or Not has a thorough and easy to handle command menu that allows you to tell bots what to deploy, how to breach, what formation they should follow, and more. On top of that, you can customize their weapons, what deployables and equipment they have, hell, even their voice actor. On top of that, the bots have game sense. When breaching, they will clear rooms efficiently and safely. They won't rush in eyes forward, they will check their corners and adjacent rooms. They won't just outright shoot suspects, they will try to detain them first. As they clear a room, they will tell you what they see and if they believe it's clear, and most of all, they can sustain themselves in a firefight. The game even tells you what they're doing in the bottom right corner. When in combat, the bots will behave much like the higher-tiered suspects, having their accuracy and such, but they will not do stupid things like run out into the open unless you tell them to. The game also features blue and red teams, gold meaning both teams. This allows you to set up multiple breaches at once. The game even has a queue command system that I barely understand, but I know if I learned it, my skill would only improve. The devs did a great job at making sure your bot companions would not hinder gameplay or be noticeably inferior to actual people. They made sure you could get the bots to be as big a help as possible with an easy to understand yet thorough command system. The developers really cared about their solo players and worked hard to make sure their experience was just as enjoyable as it is with friends. Okay, editor here. Upon reviewing this, I realize I make it sound like playing with bots is just as fun as playing with people. That just sounds dystopian, so to clarify, I meant the gameplay is not hindered by playing with bots instead of people, and much like DRG, you lose that sense of camaraderie and roleplay when you play with bots. Play with people if you can. Okay, let's move on. Outlast Trials. God, I have spent too long playing this game. I'd say 9/10 of my 260 hours have been spent playing by myself. I don't know why I love this game. Back to the point of the video. The Outlast Trials is the most direct portrayal of co-op games. You work in a group of 4 to complete a certain gruesome objective. That is probably the shortest, accurate description of this game ever. There really isn't much difference between solo and co-op. In solo, revive syringes are replaced with respawn pills and you start with 3 respawns. The most obvious gameplay difference is not being able to bust open boarded double doors without a specific amp, and you can't climb high walls or do long jumps, which means you just have to make a different, often not much longer route. Some objectives are reduced in the larger trials, like in Kill the Snitch, whenever you have to reboot the power, you go down to the basement and you have to fix these generators. In co-op, you normally have to do 2 of these, but in solo, you only have to do 1. Did I also mention that you have no bot teammates? Not that you would want bot teammates in a game like this, but you still don't have them. Playing the game is much more fun with people. I have a couple of clips from when I was younger, and I had the time of my life with one group of people. Let's see if we can knock it off with a tie.
Nah.
Whoever wins gets yes.
Okay.
Alright. I've played Dead by Daylight.
I've never seen someone win so fast.
He hit the white fist, okay? But look at me go!
Fuck,
But look at me
fuck.
go!
Stop it! Stop! No! God.
Once again, you lose the camaraderie of trying to save each other, and those tense situations where you barely survived because a teammate either saved you or caused your turmoil in the first place, all of that is just gone. The game does lose a little magic when you play by yourself, but overall isn't too hindered by the lack of teammates. I'm mostly sure enemy numbers and damage remain the same no matter how many people are on the team, though this can lead to some situations where it's obvious somebody is meant to be chased while somebody else is doing the objective. It can make doing those objectives much harder or longer to do without specific rigs. Oh, and no buffs are given to you for playing by yourself. Actually, the worst part of playing by yourself is that some of the short trials take ages. Because you're clearly meant to split up the work, but instead you have to do everything by yourself. The most egregious example of this is Crush the Toys, because you have to start up a generator, find the correct box. If you get the incorrect box, it just explodes in your hands. You have to put it on a conveyor, then you have to take the correct box off the conveyor, put it into the crusher. It sounds simple, but then there are enemies that can stop you from collecting your box, and then it'll have to go around the entire slow conveyor again. And then some boxes require 2 conveyor belts to get them to the crusher, which makes it even longer if you get pushed by an enemy. But regardless of all of that, the developers did give their solo players some thought with respawn pills. But it's clear they aim to keep the gameplay roughly the same no matter how many players are on your team. And it's clear from my playtime that I enjoyed the game regardless of people. Still played the game with other people. That clip that I showed you earlier, I would kill to have another group like that. On to the last of the more favorable games. Grounded is a game I can say I love so much, despite the spiders. I won't say too much about the game itself, as I plan on making its own video one day. The game is somewhat like Minecraft, fighting enemies for their resources, build yourself a ton of stupid things, and try to reach the end. The game does not give you AI teammates, thankfully, because much like the Outlast Trials, it's not a game that needs AI teammates. As far as I know, the only difference in gameplay is maybe less enemies during base defense and less boss health. The game is not hindered whatsoever by the lack of friends, aside from not being able to send your friends on fetch quests or leeching off their collected resources. And you won't get to hear the dialogue between characters, but by no means do any of the characters lose their personality because of that. Fights can be harder, even with the less health. Not being able to be revived is a major downside. Once again, like I said, I'm going to avoid saying too much so I can save it for the dedicated video I plan on making. So now that we are done with the games that do good in helping their solo players play the game, have fun with the game, etc., etc., now we move on to the other category of games. The bad apples. To get the outlier of this group out of the way, GTFO was probably my least favorite game that handles solo players, but it is at no fault of the developers. On the Steam page for the game, it clearly states that the game is meant to be played with people, and that the game is super hard and aims to challenge your teamwork to an unfathomable point. The game does have bots to play with, that making it the outlier of these games. I would describe the bots as a mix between Payday 2 and Ready or Not's bots. You get the, although less thorough, command system for the bots from Ready or Not, while getting the somewhat stupid and slow nature of the bots from Payday 2, as well as in getting certain benefits or immunities. GTFO is a game much like Outlast Trials and Ready or Not. You are inserted into an environment where you must complete an objective. But as previously mentioned, the game is very hard. Stealth is the path of least resistance in this game, but you have to be careful about how you take out enemies because it is very easy to mess up and be forced into loud. And sometimes the game requires you to go loud. Bots don't really impact stealth. The benefits I mentioned earlier mostly apply here. Bots cannot alert enemies if they walk or shoot, but they don't take out enemies by themselves. The enemies have to be alerted first, which can make stealth drag on a lot. In loud, the bots are alright, they can shoot and that's about it, which is helpful no matter what, but you'll mostly be doing everything yourself in combat. You can customize bots' loadouts, much like Payday 2 and Ready or Not, and you can order them to place down and pick up their sentries. GTFO sports an extremely limited ammo and health system, which you can refill by scrounging around for health kits and ammo packs. Your bots are also affected by this system, which means you have to keep track of their ammo and health. But much like Left 4 Dead 2, they do help each other and you out. They can pick up and use ammo packs, health kits, etc. The developers did not give their solo players any thought, but once again, that is not their fault. They were making and designing a game that wanted extreme cooperation in a brutal environment, and they achieved that amazingly. They did not design the game with less than 4 people in mind, and it's my own fault that I did not collect a group before buying the game. You will not make it far by yourself. I've only made it to Rundown 1 C1, which is only the 4th level in the game. The game's slogan is work together or die together. And if you have nobody to work with, then you can only die alone. To get out of the way and to inform you of my bias, I do not like Phasmophobia all too much. This game, where you try to identify ghosts through behavior or by using tools to find evidence they leave behind, it was fun for a while, but when they added the progression update, I thought it was going to be so good. And in overview, it was a very good update. It added tons of new content and replayability to the game, but as someone who refuses to go beyond the difficulty that removes one evidence, the progression is super slow and often annoying. Like, for example, I despise the Spirit Box, because it is an RNG fest of trying to talk to the ghost, and once you've decided you've talked enough to rule it out, it turns out the ghost had Spirit Box, but never talked to you, and with the progression update, new players are stuck with praying to RNGesus, because the starting tier Spirit Box has small range, and not high enough chance of talking to the ghost to be a bearable evidence. And mind you, new players are not going to be an in-sim type person, where they can just identify the ghost based on how much it's flickering and hunt. New players are going to be hiding a lot, so these ghost behaviors, these specific ghost behaviors, like, new players are going to be relying on the tools that are given to them, and the tools that are given are so bad that it is just infuriating to use them. Sorry for that rant. I just find it hard to enjoy certain aspects of this game. Back to the topic of this video, Phasmophobia doesn't have too much change between solo and multiplayer, aside from the game generally being harder because of the lack of other people to clean up after you if you die. Ghosts function the same, hunt the same, and the only benefit is you just drain your sanity slower. The game is much more fun and bearable with other people. Much like Lethal Company, it's very funny to hear your friends through the wall screaming before they die. Cursed items like tarot cards are much more dangerous than before, and the benefits you get from specifically tarot cards are sometimes null and void, like the card that revives a teammate. Yeah, that's really all I have for this game. I don't like it all too much. Let's quickly move on. Alright, I'm gonna be honest. I have played little of Lethal Company by myself. This game is too damn scary solo, and the punishment for dying is so brutal once you get to the later quarters that you'll basically be playing the game on Iron Man mode. I am going to use my little experience of playing Lethal Company by myself, as well as what I've seen from Astral Spiff's Q10 solo video. In Lethal Company, you're an employee that gathers scrap for the company. You get this scrap from foreign planets such as, and I've shortened this for efficiency, Ass, Tit, Ada, and you bring it all back to Calm. On these planets are monsters. Most are looking to kill you, while others just want to stay away from your smelly ass. Yeah, if you didn't notice, there's no shower in your ship. You have to buy that. As far as I know, the only change is that snare fleas can't kill you the first time they hug your face. They just lower you to critical health before detaching. Enemies like Coilheads and Ghost Girl become much more of a threat, and some tools like the stun gun become virtually useless. The game is much more boring without other people's. Funny moments like hearing your friends scream or being jump scared by a toilet paper roll that your friend is carrying because you thought it was a monster for some reason. So I just could not stop calling it that.
I could never have a webcam. My mouth is just wide open.
You jump scared me. I
Oh my
thought those
God.
were like eyes.
Evil toilet paper monster.
Those moments are gone, and the game's enjoyment suffers for it. The game also becomes much harder because you lose everything in your ship when everyone on your team dies. And when you're the only person on the team, when you die, all your stuff is gone. Quotas, though, remain relatively the same. Not to mention, you still only have 4 inventory slots, meaning you have to haul everything back to the ship yourself. And your defensive capabilities are severely limited if you want to make quota. But, much like GTFO, the dev never made the game with one player in mind. It was made with the thought of 4 players doing stupid stuff with little consequence until the much later quotas. And even then, dying in lethal company is never a severe punishment if you're on a team. The game should just always be played with a group. Solo offers nothing but a astral spiff challenge for someone to do. I'm going to end this video off with a game that is not about survival, at least in the death aspect. This is PlateUp, a roguelike restaurant game about making sure your customers' patience doesn't run out by serving them food. The game gets progressively harder as the days go by, with new dishes to serve and interesting modifiers that make your job much harder. But you can upgrade your appliances to keep up with the difficulty. I love this game, but to cut to the chase, the game is inferior for playing with people. By yourself, you have to take orders, do dishes, cook food, clean the area, all of that whilst taking on new dishes and modifiers. The game might give customers more patience, though I've never bothered to count the seconds. The game is much harder by yourself, and loses the roleplay and teamwork of working in a restaurant. Typically, the workload can be divided into the servers and the chefs. This allows for an easy focus on tasks and less stress for both sides when later days come. For example, with the pizza dish, the game will typically offer you new toppings for progressing. The chef can focus on making 2 pizzas, one with mushroom toppings and the other just plain cheese, while the server can focus on doing dishes, cleaning up messes, and grabbing what specific food is needed for each customer. But when you're playing solo, that stress can really build up and eventually become very hard to manage. Overall, this game is a blast, but I would make sure that you have people to play with before you get it. Developers tend to think about their solo players by giving them buffs or debuffing the enemies they face, as well as giving you bot teammates to help you with the workload and make sure those bots don't hinder gameplay. When developers give their solo players little thought, it's usually because the game was never designed around that aspect, and it's not the devs' fault if you decide to go against their intended vision and don't enjoy it. I think many co-op games can be enjoyed by yourself, but always look into a game before buying it. Thank you for watching. This took a while to write and even longer to edit. I did enjoy making it, and it was a learning experience for me. That is the reason why the audio levels were varying throughout the video, and I couldn't really fix it without having to re-edit the entire thing, because the way I edited it, I did it in segments, game by game, exported all of them, and then fit them all together in one video file, and then re-exported it, which made the audio level vary sometimes. I am still learning all of this, and I hope that I can get better. I wanted the segments to be longer than they were. I'm happy that the video was about 30 minutes longer, but I'm still, I do kind of wish a lot more of these segments were longer, and I definitely could have scripted them better, because on paper, on my monitor, they read pretty well, but I didn't exactly get the tone I wanted for all of them. And like I said, the sections just could have been longer. Another thing was that Repo was originally going to be included in this video, but Repo is so similar in gameplay when, like, if I were to describe to you, literally my script for Repo, I was trying to avoid as much as possible of comparing it to Lethal Company, so it didn't sound like I was just repeating words. But Repo was so similar to Lethal Company that I just cut it out of the video. Also, I really did not feel like gathering solo footage for either of the games. Not that Repo was scary, it wasn't very fun whenever I tried to play it by myself. Because, you know, the whole reason is that the game is funny with friends. By yourself, you're just challenging yourself. There's not much fun. I'm not Astral Spiff, okay? But I'm learning, and I think this helped me learn some things. Making this video. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope to do more of these mass game reviews or analyzing specific commonalities among a lot of games. I hope I get to do more of those soon. And hopefully they will be better and longer. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for enduring all the errors, and I'm sure nitpicks happened. My videos aren't that well produced, but thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to me. I will see you later. Bye-bye.